right, it is time for us to get started. Welcome to this RMS Support Center Release Brown Bag training. Today we're going to be reviewing the updates and fixes made in the upcoming patch release. That patch number should be 466, but it does have the potential to change, so keep that in mind. This patch is targeted to be released on February 29th, which will be Thursday afternoon. If you experience any issues downloading the new patch, please don't hesitate to contact the help desk. There's a link to our help desk in Jira and a phone number that you can call listed on the references slide of this presentation. The slides for this presentation can be found on the RMS website, rms.usace.army.mil. That link and a few other links also can be found on the references slide. These slides will be updated to include any Q&A that occurs during this presentation, and it's also being recorded. So after the training, we will be including demonstrations in that video that will be posted on the RMS YouTube channel. So keep an eye out for that video. The video should be posted within about 5 business days following this training. So if you know someone who couldn't attend, or if you'd like to be able to reference back to it, that video will be made available on the YouTube channel, and it will be listed as a new video on the RMS website as well. If you have any questions regarding anything we cover today, please feel free to type that question into the Q&A section of this WebEx. We have some folks on standby ready to take care of those as they come in. We'll also open up the floor for discussion at the end of the presentation for any additional Q&A. So if you'd like to wait until the end and unmute to ask your question, you'll be free to do that as well. Here are the topics we'll be covering in today's training. First, we'll go over a general update made to RMS, and then we'll look at some fixes and updates made to areas at the district and office level. So those are going to be the RMS Staff module, the local office menu, and the RMS GIS menu. Then at the contract level, we have fixes and updates made in the administration tab for contract status and contract notification control, the finances tab, specifically the contract changes and contract modifications, QA/QC, specifically the hazard analysis module within that tab, the Submittals tab, so the Transmittal Log within that, and the Milestone Schedule from the Schedules tab. And sorry, I forgot about our last one. The Import and Export tab also had an update made to the Document Package Export module, so we'll look at that as well. And then we have our references, and then finally we'll have the open discussion, as I mentioned previously. Okay, first up, we have an update that covers a lot, if not most, of the views in RMS. So if you didn't already know, this export button in the corner of data grids, that can be used to export the contents of the data grid as it displays on the screen to either Excel or PDF. So previously, this action, when choosing to export to PDF by using the report button rather than the Excel button, any filters set on the data grid were not being honored in that PDF report. So this has been updated. Now this export action will honor any filters that may be set in the data grid. So as shown on the slide here, we're in the File Viewer tab of the Contract File module. We filtered it to only show the docx, the JPEG, and the TXT files. And so when we export that to the PDF, only those documents showing here will export to the report.
To demonstrate this update, I'll go to our contract in the upcoming patch release. And under the Administration tab, I'll just use the Contract File module for the sake of this demo. But keep in mind that this behavior should function the same way for any data grid within RMS. So for this demo, I'll be using the File Viewer tab so that I can get a consolidated list of all the attachments. And I'm going to make some filter adjustments to the document type column. I'm going to filter it down just to the docx, JPEG, and TXT files. And so I've got 3 files listed here, and I'll go up to the Export button and click on that. So previously, the Excel report was functioning properly. The PDF report using this button was the one that was functioning incorrectly. So I'll click on that to generate the report. And as we can see, it exports those items and honors the filters that we have set.
Okay, moving into the district and office level updates. This next update is to the RMS Staff module. So any user who is assigned full district administrator rights, as shown here, this person will, or this user will also be a PII admin for the district. This checkbox will show up checked when the full district administrator rights have been granted for the user. So what does this mean, PII admin? This means that the full district admin users will be able to update the PII training dates for non-CAC login users. So users who just log in with a username and password. Any full district admin who's responsible for tracking the training for any contractors working as government users will be able to set these PII training dates in the user staff records for those without a CAC login. Non-CAC login users don't have the yearly required UPass training. Those users' PII training completion dates have to be updated yearly, and the expiration dates of those trainings have to be added in RMS to allow those users to access areas like payrolls and labor interviews. So if you are responsible for keeping track of and updating the PII training for users in the district that do not have a CAC login or CAC, please if you need these full district administrator rights in order to have the PII administrator rights, please contact your district administrator to ask about updating your permissions. Okay, moving on to the local office. This update has two different parts, two different changes made to the office description module for a selected office. First, the main district office's parent office and office type can no longer be selected for any edits or changes, and those buttons will be disabled for a district office. Since it's a district office, there's no need for its parent office or the office type to be edited. Then second change was made regarding sub-offices. So if a current sub-office's parent office needs to be updated, the displayed office list that shows when clicking on the Select Parent Office button will no longer show any offices outside of the district that the user is currently logged into. So this change will also apply when adding a new office to the district. When you're clicking on the Add button up here to add an office, the list of parent offices that it can be assigned to will be limited to those within the actual district that the user is logged into while creating that new office. Okay, next, this was an issue that was occurring with the RMS GIS menu. This can be accessed from within the contract selection view. So in this module, there are two different radio buttons that can be used to filter the results of the modules displayed within this menu. You can filter it either by contracts or by offices. So the issue was that if the office's radio button was selected and then a user would navigate to the local office locations module, a background map was supposed to be showing here, but as you can see, it was only showing as a gray background. So this has been corrected, and the RMS GIS module will properly show the background map when opening the local offices module, local office locations module, while the office's radio button is selected. Okay, moving on from the district and office level items, we'll move into the contract level stuff. So first, under the administration tab, we have an update to contract status. This update should benefit the consistency of how the monthly progress displays throughout different reports in RMS. Some improvements and fixes have been made so that the monthly progress as displayed in the contract status module's monthly progress tab, that will translate the same data in any associated reports as well. So on the slide, we're showing the contract status module, and it shows the actual progress percentage at 61%. And then in the contract status sheet, that is also showing up the same way as it shows in the contract status module. And then in the status of construction summary report, it's also showing correctly. There's been another update to the contract status module, and this is specifically related to the status photos. So when this is current status photo checkbox is unchecked for a photo, that preview that shows up here is going to be removed whenever that checkbox is unchecked. Also, if that preview is removed, the contract menu is going to show the default construction logo that usually shows on a newly created contract. So when nothing is selected as the current status photo, that default logo photo will be showing instead. Hopefully this makes it clearer that a current status photo is not set for the contract, and it can help make it more apparent if one does need to be set or if a new one needs to be added.
To demonstrate this update, I'll go into a contract in the upcoming patch release. And under the Administration tab, I'll go to the Contract Status module. So as we can see, our current photo is set by using this Is Current Status Photo checkbox. But if I uncheck that checkbox for that photo is now removed from this preview space at the top. And also, back on the contract menu view, that photo will be replaced with the default logo photo that's added whenever contracts are originally created in RMS. So real quick, I'll go back to the contract status module and recheck that photo. Click refresh just in case and go back to our contract menu, and we'll see that the photo updates back to that other current status photo when the checkbox is checked. When it's unchecked, it will be replaced with the default logo photo.
Okay, moving on within administration, this update is for the contract notification control module, specifically for government mode users. A notification has been added for government mode to allow them to be notified of a QC deficiency being added to a daily report for that contract. So whenever a QC deficiency is added to a QC or QA daily report, this notification will trigger for government users who have subscribed to this notification via the in-app notifications in RMS, the SMS notifications, and or the email notifications. Please keep in mind that for email and or SMS notifications to function properly, a working email and or a phone number have to be entered in these work phone number and work email address fields at the top for the notifications to come through.
To demonstrate this update, I'll open a contract in the upcoming patch release. And within the Administration tab, I'll go down to the Contract Notification Control module. This is where you can subscribe to different notifications, and the one that's been added for this patch release is right here. It's going to be QC deficiency added to daily report. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'll just notify an RMS. However, if you were to be notified via SMS and or via email, please make sure to enter a work phone number and or work email address to receive those notifications. Now, I'll go back to the contract menu. And I have the same contract pulled up in contractor mode as well. Within the QC tab of the contractor mode version of the contract, I'll go to QC Daily Reports. I will add our report. First, I'll enter the weather. And right after that, I'll navigate to the QC QA Deficiencies tab within the report. So now I'll add one. And navigate back. And I'll go ahead and complete this QC report. So back in government mode, where I set the subscription to the QC deficiency notification, you can see that I've got a message here. So I'll click on that. And the QC deficiency added notification is in my inbox within RMS. If you've signed up for receiving the notification via SMS or via email, a similar message will show up through those methods.
Okay, moving on to the fixes and updates made under the Finances tab. We'll start with the contract changes. So first is an update to the modification reason code selection. This has been updated to include segmented versions of the previous original code 7 for differing site conditions. That code has been split into two codes, being 7I or 7.1, differing site conditions dash type 1 subsurface, and 7.2, differing site conditions dash type 2 unknown physical condition. So what will happen to those changes that have already been created for the reason code number 7? So in RMS's background program data, the original 7 reason code for just differing site conditions will be kept in the data tables so that any modifications entered before the date of this patch release can still be sorted and viewed by this code. This code will not be available for selection in RMS on any new change requests, though. After patch 466 is released, only the new segmented codes added to replace that code can be selected moving forward. Next, still in contract changes, we have a few updates that have been made to the contract change views. First up is going to be the removal of the BCD button from that top right corner. Next is the Supporting Documents tab that has been updated to be titled the Change Request Package tab, excuse me. So for any change requests created before this patch releases, those change requests will still contain the Supporting Documents tab and all of those documents contained within it. However, any change requests created following this patch will have this change request package instead. So the title of the Supporting Documents tab was updated to be the Change Request Package tab. Because this tab view and functionality has changed slightly, this tab now contains a grid to add supporting documents in the top section, and then an area to add document packages in the bottom section of the tab. So in the Supporting Documents section, the only items that can be added here are going to be correspondences, which you can create a new one from here, or you can link to an existing correspondence. RFIs, or requests for information, and QA or QC narratives. There's also been a change in where the created BCD report is found. So now when a BCD is created from within the status/funding tab, as shown up here at the top, that newly created BCD is going to be added to a newly created document package automatically as well. Any documents within the document package can be copied to a modification once the change request is ready for linking to a mod.
Just so everyone knows, I'm on patch 446 right now. This is what's going to go out on Thursday, assuming everything goes smoothly and we don't have to bump it up. So just so you guys know where I am, I opened up a contract. This is in our test database, so it's not going to affect anything production-wise. I go to finances, I go to contract changes, and I'm going to go in here and add a new change request. So I'll hit next on that. I'm just going to put a random reason code in there, miscellaneous changes. And this is to showcase what it looks like with the BCD signing. It's a little bit different than last time. So I'm going to go in here and I'll put in a test title 3. I'm going to put in some dates in here so that we can actually generate the BCD. Generating the BCDs is a little bit of a change. You guys will notice up here we've got a little bit different tabs. There's the change request package up on the top right hand corner. I'll get there in a second. Just going to put some dates in here. We'll go into the description. We'll add in a BCD item number just to make it look a little bit better. So I'll say, maybe 5 days of change. Test title. Back. So there's no money on this one. And right here we have the potential design deficiency tab. You go in here to the status funding. Notice bottom right hand corner, there's the create BCD button. That is locked until I go through and I complete all the dates. So to make it easy for myself, I'm just going to go through here and uncheck all of these except one. And I'm going to go in here and do this date right there. And notice right there, now I can go in and create the BCD. You can go in here and change the request status if you want to and the fund status, but just for the purpose of showing what it looks like so you can sign the BCD, I'm going to hit create BCD right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to take everything that I've made so far and add it to that change request package up in the top right hand corner. But before we go there, notice create BCD version 2. So I noticed some of the questions were, what if I make a mistake, right? What if there's a problem and I find out that there's a problem? That's what that create BCD version 2 is down there. And you can click that as many times as you want. So if you go over here to the change request package, notice right here at the bottom, there's change request package P0033. That's the change request number. If I double click on this, it's a little bit squished because I kind of got the screen all blown up. Here's where you're going to sign that BCD. So if I go in here and hit sign selected documents, it's going to let me sign that BCD like the old days of signing stuff in the document package. So that's where you're going to sign the BCD. Now say you open up that PDF, it doesn't look right, you can go and go back here and create BCD version number 2. And what that'll do is that'll create another document package with the version 2. So you can go in here and do changes if you need to and whatnot. So that is the new BCD signing process. Now, there was a question, well, how do I get my documents from the change request into the mod? When you go into a mod, which I'm going to do real quick, go into a modification, I'm going to add a new modification. There is still copy change request documents. So I can click that and pull in all the documents from my change request that I'm going to link to this modification. So that has all stayed the same. So I know that it was a little bit rushed, but let's see here, change request. But that's the change. So we just wanted to put it into a document package. We want to record what has happened. So if you do have a problem and you go in and you, I think this was our change request. So if you do need to make a change, you can just create BCD version number 2. And what that'll do is that'll go in, create a new item in the document package, and it keeps going. So the idea behind RMS now is we want to record what has happened. So you can't just go in and change data without having, a history of what's changed. So that is that.
Okay, moving on from contract changes, we'll now look at a couple of updates made to contract modifications. So since the supporting documents tab in change requests has been updated to be the change request package tab instead, this button in the SF30-1 tab on the modification edit view has been updated to reflect that as well. So instead of saying copy supporting documents, it will now say copy change request documents.
Attachments for your packet.
Do keep in mind that the documents contained within the change request document package will be the only ones that can be copied into the modification using this button. Any of the documents in the supporting documents grid will not be included in that selection. Only the documents from the actual document package itself are available for copying. So please make sure that any documents that you want to be copied into the modification are in that change request document package rather than the supporting documents grid at the top. So any documents in the supporting documents grid will not be available for copying over to the mod, but any documents in this document package or packages will be available to copy into the mod. Okay, next for contract modifications is an update to the mod package requirements. So the contract action report, or CAR, is no longer required to be part of the mod package in order for the mod to be completed in RMS. The SF30 will still be required, so just make sure to follow your district policy as it relates to modifications, but RMS will no longer force an item to be associated to the contract action report PCF cabinet in this document package for the mod package. Okay, next, real quick, we'll touch on an update regarding QA/QC reporting, specifically the hazard analysis module. The EM 385 reference verbiage has been updated in the hazard analysis edit view, as well as in the monthly record of work-related injuries/illnesses and exposure report, and this was done to reflect changes in the EM 385 guidance. Okay, moving on to the Submittals tab. Here we'll take a look at some updates and fixes made to the Transmittal Log module. First, we'll look at the date sent to contractor field. Previously, this date could be set before any codes had been applied to a transmittal. This is incorrect. No transmittal should be allowed to be completed prior to applying the QA codes. That's essentially what's happening when a date is entered in this date sent to contractor field. It's getting complete. The transmittal is getting completed, so it does meet those QA codes. Now, this date field will be locked and cannot be set until all the QA codes have been entered for the items in the transmittal. That being said, to correctly complete a transmittal and get the QA codes and signatures to show on the 4025, the Apply QA codes and Complete 425 button we encourage that to be used. This will automatically update the date for the users in the date sent to contractor field and shouldn't really be changed manually.
To demonstrate this fix, I'll open a contract in the upcoming patch release. I'll go to the Submittals tab and navigate to the Transmittal Log module. So we've already got a transmittal ready for review, so I'll select that. So as you can see, there's no QA code set yet for this transmittal, and when I hover over the date sent to contractor, the field is locked and we get the message showing us what needs to be done before this date can be entered. So I'll code the transmittal, just A for the sake of this demo. And as we can see, we can edit this field now and select a date. However, the Apply QA codes and Complete 4025 is going to complete all of that for you. So when I click on this, it will prompt you to enter your PIN or password, depending on your login. So when I click that password, or click that button, our document package is accepted and the date sent to contractor field has been populated.
Next, we have another issue that was in relation to the date sent to contractor field. On a completed transmittal, if the date sent to contractor was updated, this allowed further editing of the ENG 4025. since this government remarks to contractor field would become active again. Also, since the transmittal had previously been completed, those newly added remarks were not actually showing up on the 4025 report. This has also been corrected. And so now on a completed transmittal, when the date sent to contractor field has been set, any fields that allow edits to be made on the ENG 4025 will be disabled and remain inactive, even if the date sent to contractor is manually updated. If a transmittal does need to be edited, you'll have to code it appropriately. I'm not sure of the codes for resubmittal, so perhaps ask our folks from RMS about that. But you'll need to code it appropriately to return it back to the contractor for corrections, and then they will have to resubmit.
The codes would be G, X, E, and there's one other code. Basically, when you're coding them and you click on the drop-down, you'll see that there are resubmits. You just need to pick one that's appropriate for you that says resubmit, and that will be the one that you will send it back. E is the typical one.
Next, still in the transmittal log, this is an update regarding the submittal items included on this transmittal section right here on the transmittal edit view. So completed submittal items cannot be removed from the transmittal. As shown on the slide here, when a transmittal is completed, the add and delete buttons for this section will be disabled. If a submittal does need to be added after the transmittal has already been completed, a new separate transmittal will need to be processed for that. Also note that once a transmittal is sent to the government for review, the submittal items can no longer be added or deleted as well.
For this demonstration, I'll first go over this fix shown here on slide 20 for editing the date sent to contractor field on a completed transmittal. And since we'll be in the same place under the same circumstances, I'll also review this update for the add and delete buttons in the submittal items included on this transmittal, again in a completed transmittal. So for this demo, I'm just going to reuse the transmittal that was used in our last demonstration, which has been completed and acknowledged by the contractor. So the date sent to contractor field is populated, but if I remove that date and click out, we can see that the government remarks to contractor field remains deactivated and no further edits can be made on the ENG 4025, even with the date sent to contractor updated or removed. So I'll update that again. These fields still remain disabled. And up here in the submittal items included on this transmittal section, the add and delete buttons are also disabled. If you notice on a completed transmittal that it's missing a submittal item, a new transmittal will need to be processed to get that additional submittal item transmitted.
Okay, still in the transmittal log, we also had an issue that was occurring with the shared document package within transmittals. When a contractor submitted a transmittal to the government for review, the government could not only delete the shared document package submitted by the contractor, but they could also delete the documents within the document package itself, again, submitted by the contractor. This should not really be allowed to happen. So this has been corrected, and the shared document package submitted by the contractor, along with any attachments in that document package, cannot be deleted by the government. Document packages and documents documents within that shared document package can still be added or edited, but deletion will now be restricted for any of those shared packages that are submitted by the contractor. Again, if a transmittal needs to be edited, it will need to be coded appropriately to return it back to the contractor for corrections, and they'll need to resubmit.
To demonstrate this fix, I'll first show the error in production, and then I'll show the fix in the upcoming patch release. So first up, I have a contract open in production, and I'll navigate to the Submittals tab and select the Transmittal Log module. Okay, and we have a couple of transmittals in review already, so I'll enter the top one. And this was submitted by the contractor, and as you can see here at the bottom, the shared document package can still be deleted even though it was submitted by the contractor. And then if I enter the document package itself, the document within the package, also submitted by the contractor, can still be deleted. So real quick, I'll show that it can be deleted still. And back on the transmittal edit view, I'm also able to delete the shared document package submitted by the contractor. This should not be allowed, so I'll open the upcoming patch release now and follow the same steps. I'm in the same contract. Go to the Submittals tab, click on the Transmittal Log module, and I'll enter this other transmittal in review. And as you can see, that issue has been corrected. This shared document package submitted by the contractor cannot be deleted. And when I enter the document package itself, the document within, also submitted by the contractor, cannot be deleted. Documents can still be added and edited, but deletion will be restricted for those submitted by the contractor. If needed, at the bottom, a government document package area is still available as well to add a government document package.
Okay, moving on from submittals, we'll look at the schedule updates and fixes. I think we'll be focusing only on the milestone schedule module for these. First, we'll look at this issue that was occurring in the module when a phase was selected for contracts with multiple phases. So when selecting a phase from this phase selection here, it would be cleared, the selection would be cleared upon leaving and re-entering the module. To fix this and kind of clear up some confusion, entry into this module has been updated to force a phase selection every time a user enters this module. When a phase is selected, that phase's data will be shown while the user is still inside the milestone schedule module. And then when leaving and re-entering the view, a phase selection will be required again. So each time the module is open, you'll need to select a phase from that. If a contract does not have multiple phases, the usual view for the contract milestones will be displayed like this one here without the phase selection.
To demonstrate this fix, I'm going to open a contract in the upcoming patch release that has multiple phases. So here's our contract, and I'm going to navigate over to the Schedules tab and click on the Milestone Schedule module. So as you can see, a phase selection is going to be required for contracts that have multiple phases when entering the Milestone Schedule module. So to select a phase, I'll click on the Select Phase box, select our phase, and confirm. And that phase's data is going to be displayed. You can also switch back and forth while in the module and view different phases data. Now, when backing out and re-entering the module, a phase selection is going to be required again. So each time a user enters the milestone schedule module for a contract with more than one phase, they will have to select a phase to view it. Now, in contracts without multiple phases, when you go to the Schedules tab and enter the Milestone Schedule module, a phase selection will not be required and the usual milestone schedule view will show.
Next up, still, like I said, in the milestone schedule module, this is an update to the original duration field. The field's title has been updated and it'll display differently based on the existence of the award date for the contract. So if the contract's award date has been entered for the contract, then that field will show as the award duration, as shown at the top here. Alternatively, though, if the award date has not been entered for the contract, then this field will just show as the estimated duration. So on the slide, we're showing an active contract on the top that does have the award date entered, so it's showing as award duration. And on the bottom, we have the view of a future contract without the award date entered, so that field is showing as estimated duration. If a contract is not linked to P2, then this field will be editable and reflect the estimated duration title until the award date has been entered via a schedule import or manual entry. The estimated duration can also come from P2 if the contract is linked to P2 and the award date has not been entered. Please follow district policy as it relates to that information. Okay, another update made to this module. A new field was added to display the option duration for a contract. So when a modification is made to the contract and that modification impacts the duration of the contract, that new contract duration is going to show in this new option duration field. Additionally, the original date for the contract required completion milestone is no longer going to change with the modifications that have the reason codes I, or incremental definitization of work, and 5 contract options. So when those modifications are made and they do impact the duration of the contract, this original date will still stay the same.
To demonstrate this update, I'll open a contract in the upcoming release, and I'll navigate to the Finances tab. In the Finances tab, I'll select the Contract Changes module. So we've already got a few changes put in here, and we see that they've got the reason codes 5 and I. Both of these reason codes, 5 being for contract options and I being for incremental definitization of work. Each of these codes will impact the timing of the contract. As we can see in the change days column, each of these changes does contain a change to the contract's duration. Also, here in the reference number column, we can see that these have already been linked to a contract modification. So we'll go back to our contract menu and select the Contract Modifications module. And here are those modifications. We can see that all of them except one has been completed. So if we total up the days from the completed modifications, the one at the top here and these 3 at the bottom, that value is going to come out to 405. So now we'll go back to our contract menu and we'll go to the Schedules tab and then select the Milestone Schedule module. So as we can see, the new option duration field is showing in the Milestone Schedule view, and the sum of those day values from the completed modifications is showing up properly in that option duration field.
Final fix to review is going to be in the Document Package Export module under the Import/Export tab. This view has been updated to be a little more indicative of when a download of the export is occurring. So after your selections have been made here, RMS will ask you to confirm the location where the documents should be downloaded to on the user's computer, and then this window will come up asking you to confirm the number of documents that will be exported. So while that export is in progress, the Get Documents button will be disabled, and then we've added a new Cancel Export button, and that will be enabled while the export is in progress. So as the name suggests, this button can be used to cancel the export while it's in progress at any time. Also, a little added update as part of this, the export progress bar shown here is going to display while your export is in progress, and you don't need to stay in the document package export screen for that to show. As shown over here, even in the contract menu, that export progress is still going to show even after you leave the contract. It will still show until the export has completed. Also, please keep in mind that while the export is downloading, further selections in this document package export, as you can see, are disabled. So you'll have to wait until the export completes to make any more selections here.
Okay, to demonstrate this update, we'll open our contract in the upcoming patch release, and we'll navigate to the Import Export tab and select the document package export module. So in order for me to have enough time to show all of the updates part of this, I'm going to select a lot of documents to export. And after you've made your selections, click on the Get Documents button. RMS will prompt you to choose a location to store those documents and confirm. And before the export starts, it's going to ask you to confirm the number of documents and let you know that you may leave this view while the export process is in progress. So confirm in that window. And while the export is in progress, the Get Documents button and all of these checkboxes within the view are disabled and the Cancel Export button is available. Down here at the bottom, you can see the export progress bar as well. And it's going to continue to show even if I go back to the contract menu and navigate to a different location. It continues to show. And even if I leave the contract, I'll just do that by clicking on the contract selection button up here. It's still going to show the progress of my export. So real quick, I'll show canceling the export using the new Cancel Export button. So if you'd like to cancel this at any time before it's completed, just click on this Cancel Export button and the export will have been canceled and you'll confirm in this window.
Okay, that concludes our presentation for today. Here we have some video references that we found may be helpful as it relates to the topics we covered today. Our previous brown bag right here is also available to be accessed. All of these videos can be found on the RMS YouTube channel, which is also linked at the bottom, along with the RMS website, the help desk JIRA link, the help desk phone number, and the KN portal. Again, these slides will be updated to include any Q&A that occurs today, so those updated slides will be made available on the RMS website as well. Okay, so that concludes the presentation portion of our brown bag. So now we'll open up the floor for any discussion or any leftover questions you all may have. Feel free to unmute and ask your question or raise your hand or type it. Thank you all
We
for
have a couple
attending.
of questions that are in the Q&A that I'm going to go ahead and go over right now. The first one that I'm seeing that hasn't been answered yet is, I received a message indicating that there is a new BCD signature process and that it would be discussed in this meeting. Can you verify? So basically, the signature process for the BCD item may be different based off of your district's policy, but how you go about getting that BCD report from RMS has changed. If you can navigate back to the modification screen showing the BCD button. So recently, what was it? A couple of releases ago, we created a BCD button, create BCD button inside of the status funding tab that allowed you to automatically create the BCD item and place it in the supporting documents tab. Now, since we've made some changes this time around, that create button is still going to create your BCD item, your BCD report, and that's where you're going to get it from. So you'll no longer be able to preview it. Yes, that's the right range. You'll no longer be able to preview it from that BCD button that is underneath the help and the logout buttons because that button has been removed. Now, when you're ready to view all that, all you have to do is under Status Funding tab, go all the way to the bottom and click on the button that says Create BCD. What that will do is on the Change Request Package tab, it is going to add a new document package if no document package is already there, and it's going to place the BCD item in that document package. Now, of course, if you already have a document package in that view, it's just going to add it to that document package unless that document package has already been sent to PCF. Now, we did have another question regarding the same area about these document packages. So this, whether or not you complete this document package is going to be based off of your district's policy. You will need to talk with your district administrators and reference your district policy to find out if the documents that are going to be placed in here are actually going to be copied over to the modification or not, and if they need to be completed here or they need to be completed in the modification. That is up to the district policy. This is just allowing you to be able to have that option, because sometimes documents were added here that were not added in the modification, and users wanted the ability to send that to PCF. So that's why this document package has been added here. So please check with your district's policy on that one. Let's see here. The other question that someone asked, let's see, we actually have a couple of questions in here. We did have one question about duration. I want to make sure this is clarified. I did answer this already in the Q&A, but durations do start calculating from the NTP date. That is correct. What we were talking about on the slide that we were on was the fact that the ability to add a number into the duration section is added after the contract award has been placed in there. So once you enter an actual date for contract award, the duration button opens up for you to be able to enter how long the duration is going to be, whether it's 365 days, 20 days, whatever that is. That's what we were talking about in that case. But just remember, duration is always calculated based off of NTP. All right, let's see what else we have in here. That was answered. How can we link projects? Okay, so another question is, how can we link projects from P2 to RMS? That is actually not part of the scope of this particular training. If you would like to know how to link P2 projects from P2 to RMS, you can always go to our YouTube channel. We do have a video showing you how to do that. If you are having issues with P2, please give us a call at the help desk. That is 442-333-1011. Note that there is a delay between the connection of RMS and P2. So sometimes when you enter stuff into RMS, it may take a while before it gets into P2. Also, when you enter stuff into P2, it may take a while before it shows up on the RMS side if it's prior to award. So keep that in mind. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see, the synchronization of contract progress percent, is it derived from the earnings? So progress is based off of the actual progress of the contract itself, not necessarily based off of payments. So while payments may have something to do with it, it is not where it is actually completely derived from. If you do have further questions about progress, please submit a support ticket and we'll be more than happy to help you answer those questions. Let's see here. Per FAR, the Federal Procurement Data System is a system of record for the CAR, and therefore it does not need to reside in PCF. Okay, so this is from headquarters. The per FAR, the Federal Procedure Data System, FPDS, is the system of record for the CAR, and therefore does not need to reside in PCF. So that is something that you guys, for those of you that wanted to know if the CAR needed to go to PCF or not, and why we removed it as a requirement for the modifications. All right, I think I got all of the questions. Please feel free, if I did not answer your question, to unmute yourself and ask your questions at this time.
I've got a question. On the, you're talking about the shared package and the transmittal review. So there's another document package below that, the government. I'm just going to call it government only. It's not titled that, but really that's what it is. Did the functionality on that document package, the government only one, change as part of all these changes?
The only ones that were affected were the contractor and shared document packages. The government document packages are still left open for modification.
because I guess what we're seeing, even after we put, well, when we put that sent date in there, that makes it view only, the government only one. And I mean, before we could get in there and we could still add other things, you know, government only, it didn't affect really the transmittal documentation that we're sharing with the contractor, but now it's blocked from us.
So with that one, go ahead and submit a support ticket and we'll take a look into that one, because I think the requirements for this one is the, once you submit it and finish it up, it was completely done. Although I think with this release, I was seeing that you could actually edit the government document package. So after this release goes out, if it's,
No, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. So after this release, it'll be open again.
I
Is what you're
believe
saying?
that it is. However, it's been a couple of days since I looked at it. So,
Okay.
if it's not, after the release goes out, if you're still not seeing the ability to put more documents in that document package, please submit a support ticket and we'll take a look at it, okay?
Okay, sounds good. And then another one on the, I just want to confirm on the option award time. I think I heard it. You said in there you were going to put, you know, any change requests that are I and 5, right? So it's the incremental and the option type of change requests. Yeah.
In the
good.
past, I and 5 would actually update the actual award duration, and that was confusing to some people. So we split it out and made it so that way it was separate.
Yeah. Okay. And then last, you showed some things on the exporter, the document exporter. I was wondering if there's any previous talk or is there future talk of maybe putting like a date range capability into that? Like maybe I don't want 365 days of daily reports. Maybe I want 30 or 60.
That's actually a great request. I do not know if that is in the works. The best way for you to go about finding out about that is to contact your RSG member for your district and request that be going through. It might actually already be going through. Like I said, I'm not familiar with what they're in the process of reviewing and not reviewing, but I do like that idea. It's great. Okay, it looks like we are going to actually go through, show the signing process of the BCD here in a minute. Do we have, are you finished with your question? I apologize.
Oh, before we move on from that subject, you don't mind, I have a really quick related question. On the duration thing you guys were talking about with the options, I apologize if you said this earlier. So that we're splitting it out, does that include the definitization mods and options, as previously when that was calculating, RMS would consider reason code 5, which is option mods, and reason code I, which are incremental, or sorry, not incremental, definitization of work mods? Are both of those included in the option duration? Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Anything else? All right, take it away.
Going back to the sign the BCD, does that have the option to sign all 3 positions, recommended, approved, and requested?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. So here we go. So that's a very good question. So those of you that are familiar with the document package signing, it tries to intelligently figure out BCD. It tries to intelligently figure out where you are, right? So this is a brand new BCD. The first time I go in, it's going to default to the requester. I'll sign it. The second time I go in to sign it, it's going to be either the recommender or the approver. I can't remember, but it tries to intelligently do that. So yes, to answer your question, you can choose. So it doesn't have to be in this order, right? It's going to default to the first one. But say, you know, whatever works for your district's settings. Sometimes it's the same person that signs all of them in some districts, right? So yes, yep, that's where you're going to do it. Hit cancel.
Can I ask a question as far as the BCD, creating the BCD? You know, we're going to put in there whether we need plans or specs, or if we anticipate a proposal required, but we're not going to have all those dates before we actually create the BCD because we need to make sure that we have funding. So if your other, like, let's say proposal required was checked, would that allow you to still create the BCD? I like if it was the initial one.
If it was the initial one, let's find out. So I that's a good question. I think it's just the top date, but let's find out. Give me 1 minute to go through this. So we'll do a miscellaneous change. Hit finish. So this is 34. And then we'll do test 345. We'll put in inception date. We'll put in date approved. And then we'll go here. I'm just going to go through it real quick because it only takes a second to do the actual BCD item. I don't think you have to do that. Just do 5 test 345. And then there we go. There we go. Okay, here we go. So I think, let's find out. Yeah, just the top date. And then you can go in and
Okay.
create the BCD.
Thank you. But then
Okay.
basically, if we make some changes throughout or something changes, then we can't delete the old BCD, but we have to create a second one, and the first one's always there.
That's correct. Yeah, because we kind of want a history, even if it's the mistakes, because that'll explain why it's why it was changed or whatnot. Yes, yep. So you can, I believe the coding on that is you can hit that as many times as you need to, even if it's 15, 20 times down the road, and then you only have to sign the last one. Also, that last question, as long as it's not completed and the change request isn't completed, I can go in here and remove the BCD item. So that first one that we did, that was an error. Boom, there you go. As long as it's not completed. If you complete it, then you can't go back in later and change it. So, all right.
We do have another question along the same lines in the Q&A. It says, in signing BCDs, we request that the PM signs the BCD. They normally sign the PDF outside of RMS. Is this the only way to sign? No, they can sign it in RMS if they have access to RMS. If they do not have access to RMS, then yeah, it would need to be signed externally and then brought into RMS. All right, if you have any other questions, feel free to go ahead and speak up. I'm just going to go through and make sure we didn't miss any questions in the Q&A. And if we did, I'll go ahead and answer those now. If we didn't, we can go ahead and close this out. Although if you have a question while I'm looking, please do. I do see someone's hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The AHA module, you say is tied to the exposure hours, correct?
Correct.
So in the contracts we have, it says to put the AHAs as a submittal. So we've been put them in as submittals for review. Should that change?
No, that's based off of your district's policy. RMS is open to be able to submit it in any particular way that the district requires that it be submitted. If your district wants it to go through via a submittal, then that's where it will go through.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a correction to the PDF signing. It can be digitally signed outside of RMS. I forget. As government users, y'all all have access to at least Adobe, the Acrobat, the full version of Acrobat, and you'll be able to sign inside of Adobe. I think some of you also have access to Bluebeam, that I believe also will allow you to sign electronically in PDF documents as well. So keep that in mind. When you load it back up into RMS, you can just check the checkbox that said it was manually signed, because that's for RMS, it is considered manually signed. There was another question in here is, can you provide the document that explains the car issue? This is going to be based off of headquarters and district's policy. I personally don't have access to that, but you can always contact headquarters. I think they will have that information. But as mentioned earlier, please follow your local and district policies related to what docs should and should not be added into RMS, including the car.
Thank you. Actually, my question was the other way. You had mentioned that the FDNG or whatever it was is an approved repository and we don't need to do it. I wonder if you had that document.
I do. Oh, so the information that I gave you came from our headquarters correspondence, and I do not have that document. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere up online. I think, Haley, can you pull up the very last slide for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
No worries. Let me just reshare.
So once we get the slides loaded onto the website, go to the one with all of the links. Yeah, there we go. That KM portal link down at the bottom, that should send you to a location where you can find most of the documentation that you're looking for. I'm guessing it's going to be in there. If you want something more specific, you can always submit a support ticket to us, and we can try and see if we can find out how to direct you more accurately from that point. Okay.
Added the AFAR 5104-802 item I talks about if and I put the verbiage in here, if the contract document is maintained within PIEE, which is part of the Federal Procurement Data System, then that system is the official system of record. The contractor should not duplicate this data and file it in PCF. In the car, the official place where it is created is in that system, so it is not required to be in PCF. And the guidance specifically says it shouldn't be duplicated there. However, you all need to follow your local policy. The only thing we've changed in RMS is to not make it a requirement to have that in there for the mod to be completed and be sent to PCF. If your local district still wants you to do that, the contracting officer wants you to do that, you follow your local guidance.
All right. Any last minute questions? Nope. All right. Well, as a reminder, this training is recorded and it will be posted up on YouTube after it is scrubbed of all PII. And again, after we add all of the demos to it, once it gets added, you can go there either from our website at rms.usace.army.mil, or you can click on the YouTube channel link in this particular slide. Now, these slides will be available up on our website in the next couple of days as well. So that way you can come back and reference this and link to any of the links that are on this slide at this point in time. If you would like that before it gets up on the website, please put in a support ticket. We'll be more than happy to send it to you. Other than that, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.